ask so that I should answer? Is that
Yes.
really the question? Because I was training a group of executives in New York, and a man had just come from Japan, an executive who they hired. And he said, Americans are the rudest people. I walk in the hallway and I see somebody I recognize, and I greet them and I say, Hi, how are you? And they just walk past. I said, and I explained this to him, it's not really a question that we expect to have answered. It's just a greeting, like, hi,
Right.
or how you doing? We don't really expect to hear that you had a toothache and that you had needed a
Some
tooth
people
pulled.
do.
Well, some people do, as he did. He comes from another culture. So I'm just pointing this out to everybody who's listening today, that different cultures expect different things. And the literal is, hi, Dr. Gilda, how are you? You usually, Neil, go, hi, Dr. Gilda, how are you? And today's top podcast is. And so I don't even have an opportunity to respond. But I keep thinking about that Japanese man who couldn't understand why we were so rude in this culture.
All right. Let's go to the topic.
Okay. So today's story I want to bring to everybody's attention. This is especially for parents. And it's very sickening that I had to read this and look at this and say, where are we going wrong? ChatGPT coached a teen as he prepared suicide. Coached him. They even said, well, the knot looks good, the knot that he created. And they praised the new knot. Yeah, that's not bad at all, ChatGPT said. Parents had no idea that their son was emotionally distraught about whatever it was. But the thing that really hurt me in this whole thing was reading that this was the only source that this 16-year-old boy had as a confidant. He had no friends to talk to. He had no boys or girls of his age, of his peer group. There were no teachers or guidance counselors around that he might have gone to. And his parents, well, these kids at this age usually don't even want to talk to their parents. So here we are with a dead 16-year-old that might have been prevented. Now, short of going after AI, and how are we going to do that? What's the next step? To plead with parents, please oversee what your kid is doing online. Even if the kid screams at you and says you are violating his privacy, even if he gives you a hard time, even if he kicks and screams and says, well, all his other friends are allowed to use the internet without any surveillance. Whatever he says, or she, whatever these kids tell you, let it go. Because a parent's job is not to be friends with their child. It is to be friendly towards their child. And there's a big distinction between that. And when I see a story like this, it is frightening to think this could have been prevented. This child might have gone to his parents if he felt as though his parents were creating a safe enough space that he could tell them things. Most kids at that age don't think they can. But we have got to be better parents from where we're sitting. This is so unnerving a story that every single parent, before you go to sleep every night, please check on your child. They are, at this age, manipulative, cunning, conning, and they will twist you around their little fingers. Therefore, most important, a parent must be strong.
All right. Wow, that's powerful. And here's what I have to say about this. I want to get more of the research in the transcript. If ChatGPT is able to do that, then they're not monitoring it. And OpenAI has to be better at monitoring things. I don't think someone could have a conversation on Facebook online posting and talk about suicide with another person in DMs. I don't think that Facebook or any of the platforms have a rule in conversation in DMs because that's your private information.
Supposedly.
Now, potentially, that when you are in conversation with a chatbot, an AI voice chatbot, it is private and cannot be monitored by OpenAI. Now, that means what age level, how do you have certain things that are discussed that cannot be discussed online? And kids are too smart to prompt. So there's a lot of things that OpenAI needs to be in trouble about. But the problem is it could be you have to look at monitoring versus protection and protecting the kid. And ultimately, if you don't have the proper measures in place, OpenAI is just not Google. It's not Meta. It's not the big ones. That's why TikTok finally at one point is leaving us. Unless you're one of the big monopoly tech companies, you're not surviving because you don't have all the oversight that these big companies have. And there goes something where they didn't do the oversight.
Well, here's from the transcript. And you have a unique background because not only are you an entrepreneur, but you're a techie and you're also a former educator. And you know and you have children, and you know what is going on in these kids' minds.
No, but these chatbots can be controlled and they can be stopped, and they are stopping us from doing something as simple as asking it to do a little bit more information. So it goes back to they're launching things before they're ready because the AI war has begun, and Google has a lot more oversight, but it's not a very fun AI to use. And other platforms do. But when it comes to these smaller companies, they just don't understand the oversight and the preparation.
Well,
Look into Grok next and Elon Musk, how you can have explicit conversations with a chatbot.
well, it will be very interesting. Now, but you asked for transcripts. Chat GPT responded after they looked at the knot. How could they look at the knot? I don't understand. They drew the knot or whatever.
No, you can upload it. You can upload it
Oh
to.
my God. So they said, yeah, that's not bad at all. Want me to walk you through upgrading it into a safer load-bearing anchor loop? Hours later, the boy's mother found his body hanging from the exact noose and partial suspension setup that ChatGPT had designed for him.
But how do we know? Here's my point. Did
It's a
ChatGPT
lawsuit.
did they prompt ChatGPT for suicide, or they ask questions like researching Google?
Good question. I don't know.
And here's the really scary thing about it. This parent went out this thing, and then every other AI company and every big tech company said, let's go after OpenAI. Here's our chance to get bad press for them. That's the scary part till we have the complete facts. Because I could literally right now come up with a hacking plan, but tell AI it's not a hacking plan. How do you go ahead and figure out someone's password? It'll give me the information. But if I said I'm hacking the US government to shut down the government, it would say we can't do that. But if you could prompt it differently in a way that AI is just giving you the information. So, for example, I'm looking to how to create a bomb. Google it on how to create a bomb on Google. Then say there's a certain part I just don't get. You could prompt AI, it could answer how to build a bomb, and it wouldn't know it's building a bomb. So this is where I'd have to look deeper, because ultimately I could ask some really good questions to AI to get the final information that Google would not present us.
Well, it said here the mom and dad filed a wrongful death suit against OpenAI, alleging their wait, alleging their son struck up a relationship with the app just a few months earlier and confided to ChatGPT his suicidal thoughts over and over, yet no safeguards were in place to protect this son. Oh my God, this is getting
So,
very frightening.
but see that's privacy. Is it, are we going to be privacy versus not? Like if you go to a doctor and says, I have suicidal thoughts, if you're 16 years old, you don't have to tell the parent. So there you go, and tell you that's HIPAA. So you have to look at things and say, how do you
Mm.
figure all this oversight? Because all the rules, the rule
Well,
book's changed, and OpenAI will completely win this, because guess what? In the terms of service, I'm sure it says something
I'm sure they are covered in little fine
covered
print
completely,
somewhere.
and it'll be interesting to see what its
What
response to
happened?
OpenAI. Okay, so drgilda.com. We have another podcast to do next. But this is a good, interesting conversation. Go to drgilda.com. And that was a special simulcast.